Good morning, K2. Happy Wednesday. We are at the middle of the week, so I have a morning message for you, and then I have a book, and we're going to try it a little different way because I'm running out of books that are at my house. So, let's check our morning message. All right, you ready? All right. Good morning, K2. Today is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. It is April Fool's Day. Ooh, put your finger on your nose if you know what April Fool's Day is. All right. Do you like to play tricks? So do you like to play tricks on people sometimes? If you do, be sure you are still being kind. Love, Mrs. Jocelyn. So April Fool's Day is a very popular day for people to play jokes, but you just have to make sure that they're not going to hurt anyone or hurt yourself and that you're still being kind about it. All right? So I have a story about April Fool's Day, and it's actually going to be on my TV, and I'm going to be reading from the TV, okay? So I'm going to turn our camera around. There we go, so that you can see the story. All right, so I'm going to sit right over here. Hello. And I'm going to read the story for you. All right. So it is called Arthur's April Fool by Mark Brown. It was the last day of March. The joke shop was full of people getting ready for April Fool's Day. Arthur and Buster tried out everything. Buster bought sneezing powder. Arthur got a fake telescope that gave whoever looked through it a black eye. But Arthur didn't feel like playing jokes. He kept thinking about Binky Barnes. Who is Binky Barnes? Asked Buster. Picture King Kong. Now double it, said Arthur. He keeps threatening to punch me out. The next day, Arthur was practicing his magic tricks with Buster and Francine for the April Fool's assembly. Hey, Shrimp! A giant shadow covered them. I'll show you a trick, said Binky Barnes. He grabbed Arthur's favorite pen and put it in his pocket. Now you see it, now you don't, said Binky. Hey, watch it, said Arthur, trying to look brave. Why don't you make me, said Binky, and walked away. Pick on someone your own size, called Francine, like Godzilla. Wow, said Buster, you were right. He's going to pulverize you. That night at dinner, Arthur hardly ate anything. He didn't finish his cheeseburger. He didn't even want any chocolate cream pie. What's the matter with Arthur? Asked his father. He's worried about getting pulverized, said D.W. Maybe he's been watching too many outer space movies, said his mother. Later on, D.W. barged into Arthur's room. Good night, Mr. Universe, she said. Haven't you ever heard of knocking? Asked Arthur. After you get pulverized, can I have your room? She asked. Beat it, D.W. When Arthur finally fell asleep, he had nightmares. The next morning, Francine offered Arthur a cookie. Yuck, said Arthur. This tastes like soap and toothpaste. April Fool, laughed Francine. But Arthur was too worried to laugh. I'll never remember my magic tricks for the assembly, he said. Calm down, said Buster. I'll be your assistant. I'll help if you get stuck. Arthur felt better. He could count on Buster. But just before the assembly, Buster got caught putting sneezing powder on Mr. Ratburn's desk. Instead of going to the assembly, Buster went to the principal's office. I'll blow it for sure without Buster, thought Arthur. He walked into the auditorium. Who was sitting in the front row? Binky Barnes. This was going to be even worse than he thought. Arthur worried while Mr. Ratburn read people's minds. He worried while Francine and Muffy did shadow tricks. And he worried while the chorus sang. For my first trick, said Arthur, I'll need a volunteer. Binky Barnes jumped up on the stage. Surprise, Pipsqueak, he whispered. Arthur gulped. Arthur asked Binky Barnes to tear up a sheet of paper and put it in the magic hat. He said the magic words and waved his magic wand to make the paper whole again. But rabbits came out instead. Everyone laughed. Arthur took a bow. By mistake, flowers fell out of his sleeve. Binky Barnes laughed harder than anyone. Then Arthur had an idea. He winked at Francine. For my next trick, I will saw this young man in half. Binky stopped laughing and took a step back. My saw, please, said Arthur. Binky turned pale. And now the bucket to collect the blood, Binky screamed. He stepped back again this time, right off the stage. Everyone laughed, even Mr. Ratburn. After the assembly, Arthur stopped Binky in the hall. What's the matter, Binky? You left before I could show you my best trick. No thanks, said Binky Barnes. Are you sure? It lets you see things you've never seen before, said Arthur. Really? Said Binky. He grabbed the telescope and pointed it at Francine. I don't see anything. Of course not, said Arthur. You have to know the secret words. Tell me, said Binky. I can't, Arthur explained. They're so secret I have to write them down, backwards. Do you have a pen? Sure, here, said Binky. Arthur wrote the words. Now go home, hold the paper up to the mirror, and you'll be able to read the secret words. Thanks, Twerp, said Binky as he ran out the door. Boy, that's your best trick yet, said Buster. You didn't get pulverized, and you made Binky Barnes disappear. What did you write? Asked Francine. April Fool. And that's the end of Arthur's April Fools. So, did you like that story? So, at first, Binky wasn't being so nice to Arthur, right? And so Arthur didn't really like that. So he just played a silly joke on him. Was he really going to cut him in half? No, but he scared Binky off the stage at that point, right? Because I don't think he liked when Binky was laughing at him when his tricks weren't going so well. What do you think? Yeah. So, like I said, today is April Fool's Day. So it's April 1st. And sometimes people tell jokes, like I might tell Andrew and Annabelle that we're having their favorite dessert tonight. And then I'll say, April Fools. Or one time I cut out E's that were brown. And I told Annabelle that I made her brownies. But it was actually the letter E that were brown. And she thought that I made brownies one time. So they're just silly little fun tricks that you play on people, right? So I hope that you have a good day. I sent, along with this video, I sent today's Google slide presentation. In it, I included a virtual field trip. So what that means is I put a link to the Panda Cam at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. So you can click that and you can see what those panda bears are doing right now. It's really cool. So one of the things is for you to check out the Panda Cam. I think there's 2 different ones, so you can check them both out. And then draw a picture, and if you want, write some words of what you see. So there's a virtual trip. There's also, I put some different websites for you to play on if you have time, because today would be library day. So one of them that I included was Typetastic. Do you remember when we did that in the iMac lab a while back? And it helps you learn where the keys are on the keyboard. So that's another game that maybe you can play today, or ABC, yeah. So you can check those out as well. all right? I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow.